We're learning more about the history of Andrew Hanson Palmore. He is the Hayes CISD elementary school teacher accused of inappropriately touching two students. Today, the school board voted to fire Palmore. Investigators say he admitted to the incidents. It comes as the Austin ISD tells us Palmore was also investigated when he worked with them 22 years ago. KXAN's Sarah Rahman spoke with a woman today who says that's when she reported Palmore for inappropriately touching her.
I've had nightmares about this for 20 years.
Danielle Little was 9 years old when she says she was Andrew Palmore's student at Casey Elementary.
He had this tendency to come up behind us and scratch himself and then run his fingers through our hair.
That was the year 2000, and Little said the incidents continued.
He'd start rubbing his genitalia against the back of our heads when he'd be rubbing our shoulders.
Little said she reported Palmore's behavior to her principal, as did her mother, multiple times.
She told me that I needed to get used to men being physically affectionate.
AISD tells us there was an investigation into Palmore during the time he taught at Casey, 2000 to 2004. They would not tell us if it was tied to Little's complaints. She wants kids to know they're supported.
They deserve to have someone who knows what they went through, at least to some degree, because of him and at his hands, and knows what he is.
She also wants more accountability.
There's a lot of anger because how could he get away with this for so long?
Little's question there is one we're still trying to figure out. We don't know what the findings were of Palmore's investigation while he was at AISD, or if the findings or complaints were ever reported to other agencies like the Texas Education Agency. Now, Hayes CISD, for example, Robert says that when they hired Palmore, he had a clear record.
And Tara, the board called a special meeting this morning to fire him.
That's right. The president said that they tried to set up that meeting to start the termination process right away. And during that meeting, one parent did speak up asking why Palmore was allowed to oversee a running club after a 2020 allegation against him. He said Palmore would take kids off campus outside of school hours for that.
I know this because my daughter was in that running club and I was there. And this is very, very unsettling and very nerve-wracking.
Hayes CISD placed Palmore on leave after that 2020 allegation, but he resumed working after a spokesperson said investigations by multiple agencies did not reveal any reason to take disciplinary action against him. Now, we know that between his time at Austin and Hayes school districts, Palmore also taught at Bastrop and Del Valle ISDs. Del Valle says they have no records of complaints or investigations into Palmore. Bastrop says an initial review of their records so far shows the same. And Robert, we also checked to see if Palmore has an attorney that we could also reach out to for comment here. So far, there is no one listed for him.
Thanks for your report. Well, Andrew Palmore is still not on the Do Not Hire registry. We told you last week the state created that in 2019 to make sure teachers who have inappropriate relationships with students did not find work in another school district. The Texas Education Agency says it does not include certified educators under investigation. People on the list have had their teaching certificates revoked. They've been found guilty of certain crimes, or the TEA commissioner has deemed the person ineligible.